They said my parents were crazy. Crazy for believing in me when no one else did. Crazy for sacrificing everything just to keep my dreams alive. But that same craziness changed my life forever. I grew up in a family that was far from perfect. We were not wealthy, and at times, even the basics felt like luxuries. But one thing my parents never lacked was belief in me. Our relatives often laughed at them. They said, "Why waste time and money on a child's impossible dreams?" They called my parents foolish, irresponsible, even crazy. And the sad part? Sometimes I believed it too. I remember nights when bills piled up on the table. I saw the tired look on my father's face after working 2 shifts. I saw my mother skipping meals just so I could eat properly before school. Everyone around us thought my parents were wasting their lives. "This child will never make it," they whispered. But my parents never listened. They kept telling me, "One day, you will prove them all wrong." At times, I wanted to give up. Their faith felt heavier than my own fear. I wondered, what if they're wrong? What if I fail, and all their sacrifice means nothing? Those thoughts kept me awake many nights. But my parents reminded me every single day, dreams are not crazy, giving up on them is. That message became the fuel I didn't know I needed. Even though my cousins mocked us, even though neighbors avoided us, my parents stood tall. They worked long hours, saved every penny, and poured everything into my future. Their belief became a shield for me. When the world laughed, their support silenced the noise. When I doubted myself, their words gave me strength. And little did I know, those crazy sacrifices were building the foundation of something no one in my family could have imagined. Because one day, all those whispers, all that laughter, all that doubt, would turn into silence. And that silence would be replaced with respect. This is where my journey truly begins. My teenage years were the hardest. While my friends enjoyed weekends, I was helping my parents with extra work. We sold homemade food, cleaned offices, and even delivered newspapers just to keep some money flowing in. Every time relatives saw us, they shook their heads. "This family is lost. Their priorities are wrong." Some even told me directly, "Your parents are crazy. You should forget your dreams and get a normal job." Those words hurt. Sometimes, I wanted to scream. Sometimes, I wanted to quit. But whenever I looked at my parents, I saw something stronger than pain. I saw their hope shining through the darkest nights. My father would tell me, "We are not poor because we lack money. We are only poor if we lack vision." My mother added, "Dreams require sacrifice, and we are not afraid of sacrifice." Those words became my armor. I worked harder than ever. While others slept, I studied. While others laughed at me, I focused on learning new skills. I wanted to prove not only to my family, but also to myself, that all this sacrifice had meaning. There were moments I stumbled. I failed exams. I lost confidence. I even thought of walking away. But each time, my parents reminded me, this is only one chapter, not the ending. Keep moving. One day, an opportunity finally arrived. It was small, an internship at a local tech company. To everyone else, it was nothing. But to me, it was the door my parents had been waiting for. I still remember the look in my relatives' eyes. They laughed again. An internship? That won't make you rich. That's worthless. But my parents smiled. They said, every big success starts small. Don't listen to them. And they were right. That internship taught me real skills. It showed me how the business world worked. It introduced me to mentors who saw my potential, just like my parents did. Slowly, the crazy dream began to take shape. I started building projects, learning nonstop, and pushing myself further than I thought possible. My parents' sacrifices were no longer invisible. They were becoming the roots of something powerful. The same people who mocked us had no idea what was coming. They couldn't imagine that one day, the child they laughed at would rise above them all. Because soon, the tables would turn. The internship that everyone mocked became the spark I needed. I worked harder than anyone else at that company. While others clocked out at 5, I stayed late, asking questions, learning every detail, and dreaming bigger than ever before. Within months, my managers noticed my dedication. They gave me real projects, trusting me with responsibilities that others twice my age were afraid to handle. And with each success, my confidence grew. Still, outside the office, relatives kept whispering, "It's temporary. Nothing will come of this. That family is still crazy." But I no longer let their voices control me. I carried my parents' belief like a shield. One night, I remember coming home exhausted. My father placed his hand on my shoulder and said, "Your hard work is the proof we always believed in. Don't stop now. One day, they'll all see." His words fueled me. Step by step, opportunity turned into growth. I saved every dollar from my salary, invested it wisely, and started building my own business ideas. What seemed impossible slowly began to look like destiny. My parents stood with me through every sleepless night. They encouraged me when I doubted myself, and reminded me that failure was only part of the process. They had sacrificed too much to let me give up. And then, it happened. My small side project grew into something real, my first business. At first, it was just me and a laptop. But soon, it became a company. Clients started coming in. Money followed. Success followed. The very relatives who once called us crazy now wanted to shake my hand. The same neighbors who ignored us now bragged about knowing me. And the whispers that once hurt so much? They turned into silence. I watched as my parents finally smiled without worry. For the first time, the weight they had carried for years began to lift. I could see pride in their eyes, not just because of the money, but because their faith had been right. Our family, once looked down upon, now stood taller than ever. And the story was only beginning. Because the real twist, the moment no one saw coming, was just around the corner. The day my parents were no longer crazy. The day they became the reason for our family's greatest success. The turning point came when my business grew so large that I needed help. I had too many clients, too many responsibilities, and I couldn't manage it alone anymore. I started hiring employees, and here's where life wrote its most powerful twist. The same relatives who once mocked us, who laughed at my parents, were now applying for jobs at my company. I will never forget the day one of them walked into my office, resume in hand. He used to say my parents were foolish. He used to laugh in front of everyone. And now, he was asking me for work. My parents stood beside me, quiet but proud. Their eyes said it all. They never needed revenge, but life had already delivered it. Their crazy faith had turned into undeniable proof of victory. And for me, it wasn't about showing off wealth. It wasn't about proving people wrong anymore. It was about proving my parents right. Their sacrifice had built everything I had, and now the world could finally see it. I gave jobs to some of those very relatives. Not because they deserved it, but because my parents taught me that success should never turn you bitter. Instead, it should make you wiser, stronger, and kinder. Today, I am richer than I ever imagined, not just in money, but in respect, in love, and in wisdom. My parents, once ignored, are now honored. And I carry their lessons with me every single day. So here's what this story means for you. Backhand index pointing right if you are young, chasing dreams in your 20s, never give up, even when people laugh. Success requires patience, hard work, and above all, belief. Don't let others define what's possible for you. Backhand index pointing right, and if you are a parent, listening to this story in your 50s or beyond, never stop believing in your children. Your support, even when the world mocks you, can become the foundation of their greatest success. My parents were called crazy, but their craziness became my greatest blessing. And because of them, I now live a life that once felt impossible. So if people ever call you crazy for believing in something, smile. Because maybe, just maybe, that crazy dream is the very thing that will change everything.